jury will do ahead of time. So $10 million in compensatory damages.
Guys, I don't want to be cliche or cringe or whatever, but this is actually this is like a pretty big cultural moment, I feel like, on the internet anyway.
Outside the courtroom where you can see these fans, as I said, every time a judgment was read in favor of Johnny Depp, a huge crowd, cheers, went up here. The crowd cheering, Johnny, Johnny. Clearly,
why? Because this is like a high-tier case
outside the courtroom right now.
That went global about the fact that you just can't say dumb shit about somebody else if not true, or you can't prove it. And if you do so, you get smoked.
The judge sending the jurors back into the jury room one more time before they are dismissed.
And also, think about all of the intricacies of the case, though. The tweets, the retweets, the conduct on social media, all of it. What do you think is going to happen when somebody goes to court, right, for somebody's tweet or whatever, right? They can reference this case and say, oh, in Depp versus Heard, in Depp versus Heard a trial, they deemed this, that, this, and it used it as a case law, right?
I don't think there's an answer she can give that can spin that.
That's not how it works. Why not? I thought that worked. Is that not how it works?
My guess is if she were to come out, and that's a big if, because this is a pro Johnny Depp crowd out here. If she were to come out, maybe she would make a brief statement and then
Mazuki and NFT.
Ushered into a car by security. I don't think she's going to be doing any kind of press conference answering
any
major questions
massive.
right now. Depp's team, on the other hand, I expect they will be. Again, for those who are just tuning in, the verdicts, I should say, not the verdict, but the verdicts.
Wait, she can't afford the lawyers. How can she afford the loss?
The jury determining that Amber Heard did defame him on all 3 counts that were being considered in her 2018 Washington Post op-ed. And joining us now is the one, the only.
She can afford them. She can't afford them. What are you fucking talking about?
The Law and Crime Network with us. Dan, give me your reaction.
She had to stop the donations.
We have to say, wow. I mean, I'm sitting in a car watching this live stream, just like 3 million plus others have been on the Law and Crime Network.
That's the guy from
the fact that Johnny
that's the guy from A&E.
Is pretty amazing. Remember,
guys,
this is a case where he sued a publication.
It's an A&E guy.
The standard is harder to win.
From
and a judge
Live
came
PD
back and said, no, he believed that Johnny Depp was a quote wife beater on 12 of 14 counts. Now you have a jury here of 7 people, 5 men and 2 women, coming back and saying that Johnny Depp was defamed on all 3
financially, this is not a win for Johnny in terms of actual money.
Now,
because all that he lost, what he would have done, he would have been able to earn money in the way that he wants to, but he wasn't able to. He only got a portion of what he would have earned doing his job that he loves doing, which is kind of an L, but it's good.
For her, that's not just the issue here. You know, it sounds like the issue the jurors had with the statement made by the lawyer for Johnny Depp was about the fact that she got together with her friends.
It's good though. He's out of the woods now.
So maybe they didn't believe that aspect of it. But it seems to me that the takeaway from this case is these jurors believed Johnny Depp and they didn't believe Amber Heard. I don't think there is any other way to interpret all of these verdicts together.
Yeah, she cannot pay because it's civil.
Dan, I think that's a really good point, because the statement in which the jurors found for Amber Heard was a longer one that Adam.
Are they gonna like foreclose the house and shit like that?
You know, talking about Amber and her friends saying.
Yeah, this is actually crazy.
Saying, yeah, so Amber and her friends spilled a little wine. They roughed up the place, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, then placed a second call to 911. So perhaps the jurors didn't believe.
I'm very surprised that the jury said it. Yes,
right?
On the fact that was not true.
Would you say that then?
I feel like she lost that. On the last day when she testified, I thought she lost there.
I mean, it's better that she won that one.
She stalled saying she doesn't even know what they're talking about and what room it's in.
Now try and spin it.
But everyone knows it was a lie.
That it was, you know, both sides and people didn't believe either. But in the end, I mean, when we talk to these jurors, and I'm sure that some of them will talk, they're going to tell you. I feel confident that they're going to tell you that they simply did not believe Amber Heard. Because remember, it's not that she won on all
Is
three
Amber Heard at her next job?
counts with regard to her countersuit either. I mean, basically the jurors have come back and said he wins on all counts and she wins on all counts, then I'd have a different answer for you. But because they said he wins on all counts, but she just wins on this one issue, it seems to me that I don't see how those jurors believe on questions 2 and 3 with regard to Johnny Depp, not just the sexual violence claim, but the rest of it. I don't see how those jurors come back and say that he was defamed and that there was any sort of equivalency here. If he was defamed by that statement and Amber Heard did not win on those countersuits with regard to calling it a hoax, etc., these jurors clearly believe Johnny Depp and didn't believe Amber Heard.
Stop.
Yeah, Dan, let me stop you here because our 3.5 or so million viewers, 3 million viewers on YouTube, some people have some concerns. They want to make sure that you are not driving. Like so many people, I'm sure you stopped whatever you were doing when you heard a verdict was coming at 3 o'clock. You picked up your phone and dialed into YouTube, right?
I'm in the back seat of a car. I'm not actually driving the car.
Right. He's not at the wheel, guys. He's in the back seat of a car. He's safe.
Everyone on the road is safe. Beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the amount of evidence is
himself and others. Let's talk about the appeal. Is Amber Heard going to appeal this, Dan?
Absolutely, she's going to appeal it.
And
remember,
fuck it.
People have to remember
everybody back in the court. Reset. Fucking
appealing primarily the legal rulings, right?
Fuck you, dude.
Appeal some of the testimony that was allowed to come in.
Yo, recall the whole squad, man. Round 2. What the fuck is this?
The judge's rulings in this case, the pretrial rulings, the ruling itself.
I'm more disappointed that this verdict means that other woman is a setback.
There's a whole panoply of challenges that she's going to make about how unfair
that's
the trial
disgusting.
was. Also seek to reduce damages, right? In any
the court of law, what is the best thing you can do?
In addition to try and get
prove her wrong. How is she gonna write this shit?
Reduce the damages and say that the jury made mistakes and how it assessed damages. I think that's her most likely chance of success here. But you know, that's not going to be the win for her. I mean, this to me is just it's basically an all-out win for Johnny Depp, and I do think that this gets him exactly what he wanted here, which is I don't think he cares about the money, whether he ends up getting the money. She probably doesn't have that kind of money. This is vindication for Johnny Depp. A jury has said that he was defamed by these comments, and that means that these jurors believe that he was not a domestic abuser. And I think that allows him to get back his career in many ways. You could argue there were other reasons he'd lost much of his career, but this is a massive win for Johnny Depp, and I don't think it can be underestimated to characterize it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, you touched on the damages, and let me remind our viewers again that the jury awarded Johnny Depp $15 million in damages, and they awarded Amber Heard $2 million for finding that one of the statements made by Johnny Depp's lawyers was defamatory. So a little bit of imbalance in what's owed. To your point, you know, Amber might not have that money. We've talked about this already, but what happens to her in this case? She doesn't have the $15 million for damages.
Well, we'll see. You know, look, there's going to be a lot of appeals. We're a long way from the final judgment being issued in this case, and you know, Johnny Depp pursuing the damages against him. Well, let's see what happens there before we say that Amber Heard is going to have to declare bankruptcy. You know, which is potentially something that could happen in the end if she owed this kind of money and simply can't pay it. She could also try and raise money through donations, etc., from other people based on the reaction to this trial. I'm not sure that would be particularly successful. But, you know, I think we're a little ways away from knowing exactly how much she's going to have to pay and how she's going to get that money.
Let's talk about Johnny Depp for a second, because a little bit before we found out that there was a verdict, we did confirm that he was not going to be here. There had been a lot of speculation. We know he's been playing rock shows the last 3 nights in the UK. We knew there was a possibility he'd stay there. In fact, his team confirmed he would be staying there and watching the verdict from there. Any thoughts on him not being present for the verdict?
You know, this is not a criminal case. I think that people are sort of conflating this with a criminal trial. People say, how could he not be there? You know, this is a civil case for damages. You could argue, okay, Does he not care enough to be there? I don't know. I mean, I don't view it as particularly significant that when it comes to a verdict that could take many days, that he decided he didn't want to wait. That's really more from my.
Don't worry, bro. I pledged the 50 mil for her GoFundMe.
Than it is a legal question, and the dollars, okay, but that didn't happen.
I think.
And so.
Okay, you're back. You're back. Dan, can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought up really it's more of a PR question, and so no, that's okay.
Chat, what did you say she was going to donate to?
Lots going on. Listen, so you said, yeah, that's a PR question about Depp not being here. So I have another PR question for you because you watch so many of these high-profile trials, and yes, this is not a criminal trial, but we've seen a lot of high-profile civil trials. We know that these stars' reputations, you know, what was left of them essentially were at stake. Amber Heard's in the courtroom. We know both legal teams are going to come out. Do you think Amber Heard is going to address the media at all?
I don't think with all those Johnny Depp fans out there, she wants to hold a press conference where people start yelling at her and those sound bites end up showing. If I were her PR team, I would let the lawyers for Amber Heard make statements. I wouldn't have her. I'd have her sit down with someone, you know, a relatively favorable journalist sometime, you know, tomorrow, next day, whenever, to give her statement. I don't think she wants the sound bites of her. You know, talking about how upset she is about the disappointment.
I'm sure people will combine donations to the fucking organization and they'll make up for what they lost or whatever.
Would likely make themselves.
Yeah, I responded to tweet. What about it?
Right there,
as in, what mountain skull public over the court and it could have put on Twitter with a prevent statement? Haven't really think the L. What about it? I think that's fine.
Absolutely.
What? I think
Thank you so much for
that's what I feel like writing. What about it?
Your response with us, your reactions to this big pivotal moment after more than 6 weeks of covering this trial. We thank you so much. Maybe we'll check in with you later. But for now, I want to go right to Linda in the studio. She has a statement from Johnny Depp, his reaction to the verdict. Linda.